Awesome.
Live.
We're live.
All right.
We're live. We're going to Spanish today?
Un poquito.
Un poquitito ahí. Más o
Todo el
menos.
mundo.
What time it is? It is almost 3 o'clock, so if you're having lunch, drop it. It's too late. And we're going to give people some time to kind of get into the whole groove of getting live into the video.
Of course.
Because we have a very, esto es de, no puedo decir esa palabra.
No.
A very special guest here today that finally, after, I don't know how many years. I don't know.
Couple years.
Couple of years, we've been chasing this guy. Come on, join here. Da-da-da. You know, doing the whole thing. Sal, pimienta, just cooking it. And finally, it happened. We have here the awesome. ¿Do I go Leonidas o Leo nomás? Leo, para no asustar a la gente.
Sí.
Leonidas Florin here.
Hey guys,
How you doing?
Oh, can't be any better. Here at
Awesome.
Greystone.
So tell me a little bit about why should I care about loving here? Tell me a little bit about your experience.
My experience for today's video is going to be centered around licensed community association management and what agents or investors can do to assist in the process when they purchase a home in a condo or an HOA.
Okay.
And so we're going to give you guys 4 tips, right? Because we are homesforincome.com.
Yep.
And want to make sure that the investors know that we understand the community association management side and we understand the HOAs and the COAs.
Now tell me what your experience, how long and what kind of experience you have in real estate.
So my experience goes back to 2006. I started out as working for Fannie Mae in that capacity.
Right before the recession.
Right before.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you stayed in this industry?
Yes.
Whew.
So
Wow.
I started out in property management for Fannie Mae. We had a national contract with them. And then I moved on to licensed community association management, where I became part of the executive team at one of the local management companies.
Nice.
And recently I went into property management to individual unit management.
Got it.
So I have a little bit of a well-rounded, experience
like,
in that regard.
And you also have done commercial real estate, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what do you do in terms of commercial real estate? Tell me a
I've
little bit about
sold commercial real estate. I've also leased commercial real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also working with a known wireless authorized dealers right now to find them space. So we're doing a lot of things.
No name.
No.
That's,
A little bit of anonymity.
yeah. Let's keep it under wraps. You know what? I forgot something.
What did you forget?
I forgot to tell them how to reach us. Don't forget that you can reach us at Homes, the number 4 income. That's Homes again, the number 4 income. When you invest, we do the rest. Jorge, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, online, the Facebook, not just Facebook, the Facebook. So yeah, you can reach us all there, and there's gonna be a description there. Oh, the YouTube channel.
Yes.
Me mata si no digo eso.
No.
The YouTube channel, just go Homes, the number 4 income in YouTube, and you'll see all these videos for agents, for investors, you name it. So today, again,
Like and subscribe.
yeah, like, and then la campanita, the little
la
bell over
campanita,
there. That way
right.
you get notifications when we do video. Now, today we're gonna go again, like Leo said. A lot of people, they want to buy properties, they want to buy condos for investing, and then suddenly they see that there's an HOA, and they step away.
Right.
And they step away. They're afraid of that. Some HOAs are.
Yeah. Can be amazing.
Yeah, but as an investor, there's an opportunity because again, there's people stepping out, and if you know the right way to manage it, there's an opportunity actually to get a property that cash flows the way that you want it, and actually with some benefits because HOA most of the time the property's kept nice and all that kind of stuff versus some of the areas. So we have 4 tips today. Leo, what's the number 1 tip? The first tip in terms of HOAs.
So the first tip that I definitely want to point to light is make sure that you take the time to read the documents. That is super important. Okay, so there's 4 documents that you have to read or that you have. You have the Articles of Incorporation, you have the bylaws, you have the declaration, and you have the rules and regulations.
Now, where do I get these documents from? The actual HOA?
Well, you can, or you can get them online.
Okay.
Typically, the HOA management company will charge you a fee. It's part of the estoppel, but it's county records. So
okay.
you can just go online, and search through the county records based on the name of the association, and you just download the entire packet.
Now, is this, do I have to be lawyer-ish, to read these documents, or is it something that you can probably get if you're an investor?
If you're an investor, it's very simple to read because It'll tell you exactly what it is. What you really want to do is you want to skip the articles of incorporation and you want to skip the bylaws.
Okay.
The reason for that is that's mostly how to set up the association.
Okay.
The meat and the bones and the potatoes are the rules and regulations and the declaration.
You notice that his examples will always have food in it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it. I'm just saying it. So I like the meat, potatoes, bones, whatever. So go back to which is the one that we have to focus on.
The declaration and the rules and regulations.
Okay.
So the declaration is going to outline exactly what your pet policies, your flag policies, what your tenants can do, what the tenant is able to, or what the timeline is for you to let the association know about your tenant.
I would say even before that, if you can have tenants, because
Right.
some associations don't even allow that.
Right.
So even when you're doing the research to buy this property, by reading those declarations, you can know, oh, you know what, I'm buying something that I can rent,
Absolutely.
or something I cannot. And especially happens a lot with the Airbnbs. Now that's kind of popular or whatever.
Yes.
It will tell you, I'm assuming there, if you can do short-term rental, right?
Right. And don't assume that just because somebody else is doing Airbnb
Oh.
that you can do Airbnb. Maybe they're in violation of the documents.
When you assume,
Yeah. Makes
you
sense. Yep.
and me.
And me.
I'm not gonna say the ASS.
No.
But you and me. Never assume. No, never assume. Now the other documents, these are the declarations. The other
Yeah.
documents.
Rules and regulations.
Okay.
So the thing to note about the rules and regulations is that the board can change them at any time, right? So
Okay.
what does that mean? A rule that applies today might not be in effect tomorrow, or it might be stricter tomorrow.
Okay.
So you have to keep that in mind and make sure that your tenant follows all the rules.
Okay.
A good
For
example.
examples, I was gonna say. Yeah.
Good example of that is making sure that your dog is on a leash.
Okay.
Making
Oh.
sure that he doesn't poop all the way around the property.
Okay.
Anything like that could come up as a brand new rule, or that you have to register the pets.
Okay.
The rules and regulations was mostly set up to cover the board or the board of directors from any discrepancies or any type of rules that are not set in the declaration.
Okay. So the declaration is more like set in stone, kind of the Constitution, that kind of stuff, and then you have, the amendments to it, quote unquote,
Right.
which are the rules and
Great
Okay.
example.
Got it.
And the
Got it.
reason for that is the declaration basically sets forth the members can still amend them, but it takes 75% vote.
Got it. Got it.
Where the rules and regulations, the board of directors can amend them.
Just change.
Right.
Okay. So, for example, hey, the declaration may say pets are allowed, but then the rules say how you manage those pets. Again, the
Correct.
leash and that kind of stuff. But we don't allow pets. But this is how we want you to have them.
Right.
Excellent.
It
Excellent.
must be
excellent.
registered with the association, all that good stuff.
Got it. Got it. And I think from that perspective, again, one, you don't need to be a lawyer. Just do your due diligence. You do it for pricing. You do it for repairs. You need to do it for HOAs. So make sure, again, even that first step, can I rent it?
Right.
It may be there, and then you go, you know what? I'm looking at for rental. This doesn't make sense. So that's the first one. Read the documents. And I know we are in a generation that they don't like to read.
Yes.
I get it.
Instant gratification.
Yeah. I remember my Google was the library.
Right.
I would say, oh, Google. Remember those little cards that had
Yes.
that was my Google, guys. So hey, read these documents. You'll be great. Now, what would be that second tip?
Second tip is make sure you understand if you're buying a property in auction is understand what safe harbor laws are.
Safe harbor. That sounds like the boats, all that
Yes.
kind of stuff. But I'm sure it's not that.
No, not at all. So basically, safe harbor sets up that the association is entitled to a certain amount of months of back due association dues, right?
Okay.
So what does that mean is the safe harbor of that property is, let's say, 12 months if I'm a bank or I'm foreclosing on the unit. Now,
Okay.
if you're buying it at auction, you might be entitled, or the bank might be entitled to, or I'm sorry, the association might be entitled to more than 12 months.
Okay.
So, for example, I go to an auction and I see a condo, right? I need to make sure, and one of the best ways to do that is to find out who's managing the property.
Got it.
I want to call up and I want to say, hey, I'm looking at, possibly purchasing this unit. What kind of association dues are back due?
Right. How much they owe you?
How much do they owe the association?
Okay.
Because you might be on the hook.
But if I'm foreclosing, do I still have to pay those back dues?
Yes. So
Okay.
if you're purchasing a foreclosure, you might be on the hook for all those for 10 years. So for example,
Oh,
I
you said how many years?
I had a property that the association did not foreclose on the unit for 10 years. And so
They have to pay 10.
Well, it was negotiated, but still.
Yeah, negotiated to 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
$500 maybe sometimes the HOA.
Oh my gosh.
You're paying $18,000 that you didn't expect. But if you did the due diligence of finding out, no question. If I call, let's say that example that I'm buying an auction. If I call the HOA, will they freely give me information, or I have to show them that I'm buying? You know how private I think it is, that information for someone that wants to buy it but has not bought it yet.
So some associations will, some won't.
Okay.
It all depends. You definitely just have to do it on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. So sometimes they will, sometimes they don't.
Right.
Bottom line, ask. Worst thing they can say, you hey, no.
Another solution that I've seen in the past is if you're already a member of the association and you're just buying an additional unit, you might already have a relationship with the property manager.
Got it.
There might be, the ability to find that out. And you don't necessarily have to find out a number. What you can do is you can say, hey, is it high or is it low? And you can kind of get an idea based on what you already pay for association dues on another unit. You can say, hey, is this one really far back, or are you guys, still waiting on it? So it
Can be kind of like the price is right.
exactly.
There you go, hey,
Exactly.
$50, no, 100,
Right.
70,
Exactly.
80, it's
Exactly.
between 70 and 80, all that kind of
Exactly.
stuff. Okay, so again, reading the documents, very important. Finding out about that safe harbor. Is there any balance dues? I don't safe harbor sounds like, bottom line, are there any balance dues that you may have to carry on if you buy the purchase?
Right.
If you buy the unit over there. So we have those. What would be the third tip that you have?
Third tip today is check the violations that are on the property.
Okay.
So-
Violations. Okay.
So
What are the little letters that you get when the grass is tall?
Yep. Absolutely. So
Okay.
make sure that the property doesn't have major violations that you probably don't know of. And the way to do that is obviously to go to the property management company and basically ask, hey, does this property have any violations on it?
Now, will they give me that when I ask for the balance dues? Is that probably a good time to ask
It's
for
a
those
great
already?
time to ask.
Okay.
It's a great time
So
to
with
ask.
that one call, you can kill the balance dues, you can kill the violations.
Absolutely.
Now, major violations, because again, I've heard about the grass talk, which
Sure.
never happens in my house. My kids take care of it sometimes. But tell me about big violations, because I remember for the grass, some people, a friend of a friend, it was like $25, $50. But what would be kind of a major violation that I have to go like, oh shoot?
So for example, step number one was read the documents, right?
Yeah.
So in the documents, it might say that you have to keep your house at a certain standard based on what the property manager says, which has
Okay.
happened to us in the past. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you don't have to paint the house if it's not required. See?
Got it.
So you definitely want to be able to understand if a violation for paint is either upcoming or the property manager, says, hey, this unit might need some extra paint,
Okay.
as part of the rehab, and now your rehab costs didn't include paint, and here you are having to move that.
So that's a big one, because maybe
Yeah.
painting the serious house is $3,000-$5,000. If you're doing your analysis based on, hey, my rehab is 18,
Right.
and now it's 23, boom, that can be,
Another good example, dead trees, fences are huge. For example, if your fence is not in compliance, if you have a wood fence and there has to be a vinyl fence, then that's a whole nother game. You have to add that to the rehab cost.
And the problem is that if the person that was living there before, they could care less about violations.
Right.
You go there, it's a great price, that kind of stuff. You see the fence, it looks good. It's not, maybe a couple of, but it looks good.
Right.
And then suddenly, oh, you know what? It's a great yard. It's so big. It's awesome. Pets will love it. I'm going to rent this to pet lovers.
Absolutely.
And then you have to change the whole fence.
And then also, obviously, is make sure city violations didn't creep up.
Mm.
Derelict vehicles, you have.
But those the
trees.
association won't tell them. You have to go to the
Right.
city records there.
Right.
Okay. So again, read the documents, make sure balance dues, safe harbor, then make sure that those major violations by the HOA. By the way, I have a story here. I had a neighbor where I live that he painted the house in this beautiful light green. Awesome. The house was beige before, very, very light green with
Right.
like the white trims. Oh my God. Everyone was like, who's the painter? Oh, this guy. Oh my God. Blah, blah, blah. Another person said, you know what? I'm going to paint mine, the second green. So now in our street, they're, beautiful. The HOA guy, because there's always a guy.
Always.
That I'm not saying old dude, but that guy that's walking around and he was in Hawaii actually that month. So both houses got painted while he was out.
Right.
Guess what happened when he came back?
Oh, he went crazy.
He went, it's always the guy with the white socks and slippers, just walking around. He went like click, 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 click. Those two guys had to repaint the house, which they were living.
And to learn from your point is, don't assume that your neighbor is doing the right thing and is abiding by the association rules. Make sure that you read the documents and make sure you understand the rules, because maybe he didn't read the documents or she didn't read the documents.
For sure. There was only one person happy in this deal.
Yeah.
The painter.
HOA, or the painter.
The painter, because he got paid
He
twice.
got paid twice, yeah.
He got paid twice, actually 4 times. He had one deal, and then 1, 2, 3, 4.
Absolutely.
So again, it happens, people. It happens. This was a great neighborhood. He got some stuff, and it happens. Now we have some people with some questions.
Yes.
I see Jorge back there.
Yeah, he's going.
Guys, we have 2 people asking where are the sunglasses.
Oh my gosh. All right.
You have Carla asking where the sunglasses.
So my fault today.
Aldo says, please wear the sunglasses.
You see? The problem is we haven't done. When was the last Facebook Live? A couple, maybe a month or 2.
Yes.
So I rushed and I left them home. So should I do this or something like that? No.
But Rafi, isn't it nice? A little bit of no glasses.
You know what?
a little bit of glasses.
Now they can see this beautiful face.
I know.
Please enjoy it. Because next time they will have sunglasses, and then you miss those beautiful hazel black eyes. They're more black than hazel. But
So some of the people have joined: Nadia, Najib,
Najib,
Raymond,
Hey guys.
Raymond, Osvaldo,
Marcos from Puerto Rico,
Marco.
Puerto Rico, please do something.
Dario Jimenez, Jose
Dario Jimenez.
Torres,
Man, a lot of people
Guys.
joining. A lot of people.
Dan Mitchell,
Dan Mitchell.
Aldo Silva.
Forget Aldo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some of the people
alright.
that have joined so
So
far.
again, we have read the documents. We have
Safe harbor.
Safe harbor. Basically, check your balance.
Right.
Then
Violations.
we have the violation. The guy.
Yeah.
Checking. Whatever. What would be that last tip, the 4th tip that you get for this?
4th tip is make sure that you take the time to read the budget, right?
Okay.
Huge.
Okay.
Just because your fees are a certain amount today doesn't mean that they're going to be the same tomorrow, right? Or next year, shall we call it.
So I go there, I read the documents, they charge $500, I budget based on those $500, and you telling me that next year it can be $600?
Absolutely. Yes.
So how? Why? Do I have to vote for that or?
No. So what happens is that the board approves the budget every single year.
Okay.
So every single year, the amount fiscally that the board needs to collect or the association needs to collect every single year is calculated by what they did the previous year. Okay?
Okay.
So what happens is that you'll see CPI index increases on stuff like electricity.
Right.
If the condo association provides water, if they provide sewer,
Okay.
if the insurance goes up, things like that are all part of the calculation.
Okay.
Now, where it really, really makes sense is if the association either had a recent special assessment or if they haven't had one in a while.
What is a special assessment?
Special assessment just basically means we don't have enough funds to cover this amount in our operating budget. We can't pull it from the reserves. So we have to go and we have to set up a meeting to special assess the owners and ask them for more money.
So for example, just to put it in a habichuela. So I'm collecting 500 every month, but I'm spending 600. So then at the end of the year, I'm in deficit of 1,200. Matemática.
See, 1, 3, 4,
Move it here. Yeah, 200.
Exacto.
So then I go, you know what? Next year, I'm gonna still spend 600. So I'm gonna charge you 600 plus 100 every month because I'm down 1,200. So it goes from
Exactly.
5 to 7.
It could.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So the way that you get around that is you make sure that the budget is properly sound. In other words, you look at the balance sheet, make sure that the numbers feel right for
Not too many payables.
for the entire association.
Okay.
Make sure that they're collecting on time.
Okay.
Make sure that they don't have heavy amount of receivables or heavy amount of payables.
Mm-hmm.
So really you got to study the budget, and there's a lot of information online on how to look at the budgets from an investor's
How
point of view.
to understand it.
And it really just takes a small glance to be able to say, okay, this is a sound investment. Just because the building is standing doesn't mean that it's financially solid.
Right. Now, what can happen if the HOA is not stable enough? If you look at one of these balance sheets and go, oh shoot, there's receivables, up the hook. There's 10 times more receivables than payable. So what can happen? Can HOA basically bring down, the whole, development?
Not necessarily, but there's ways to get around that. The HOA can set up a reserve account to be able to start collecting money for, let's say, an issue with several roofs.
Okay.
Several roof projects. They have to be able to reserve for roofs every single month.
Okay.
But if they don't have enough funds in the account,
Okay.
then they're gonna have to collect it from some other place.
Got it.
Either
Okay.
they're gonna have to short the operating expenses, or
Mhm.
they're gonna have to collect in a special assessment.
So maybe, less landscaping or whatever it is that you're
Right.
doing, which again can impact, your property and the value and all that kind of stuff. So I think based on what you're saying, I would have never thought of looking at the budget for HOA. But I would say probably if you don't know how to read these statements, find someone with some accounting background. You
Absolutely.
should have a CPA. If you're an investor and you don't have a CPA,
Right.
get off this video. I'm telling you. But maybe, give them to CPA so that he can understand.
Absolutely. I mean, before we go to George, just make sure that you're always counting 3% increases.
Yeah, like an
on
inflation.
your HOA,
Mhm.
amount,
Dues,
because
yeah.
on your dues, every single year they're gonna go up.
Okay.
Yep.
I think we have some questions over
We
there.
have a couple of comments. One from Carla Gorman says, very important. My parents live in HOA for years, had to repaint their house because it didn't match exactly the house next door. Can you comment on that?
Because it didn't match the house next door.
Yeah.
I think what the rules and basically will say that.
It goes back to number one, read the documents. I mean,
Mhm.
make sure you know those documents from top to bottom.
Mhm.
If you have a question, I mean, the property manager at times can give you a good indication of what they meant by, well, the property does not look like the one next door.
Mhm.
Well, there's a lot of questions that come up with that. Was the paint job deteriorated? Was
Mhm.
it was it something that we needed to was it scaling off the mud was coming off the side of the building?
Mhm.
There's so many questions that come up with that.
Right.
Just make sure you read the documents first, because it'll tell you right there in plain black and white.
I'm sure, and you have the experience that probably the one thing that people do the least is read those documents, right?
Right.
And again, it's like I know sometimes you don't read them, and it's like the Apple agreement. I never read it. I just go agree, right? But that's for a 99-cent app, right? We're talking about an investment of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Have the time, sit down, and read the documents.
Yeah.
Because in this case, for example, maybe that was there, and this couple bought, before reading, and then guess what? Now, is there any way of like an appeal process for these kind of things?
Yes.
We had a question about that. Perfect.
Okay.
Oh,
What's
wow.
the next question? Yeah.
Perfect.
You got ESPN.
Ooh, there you go. So is there an appeal process that most of the time it's part of the HOA?
There is, if you get a violation related to her
Paint.
painting, if you get a violation based on that, there is an appeal. You can appeal to the board, but
Okay.
most of the times they'll go back to the documents and say,
Got it.
this is what it is. And so, in my experience, I've tried to appeal before,
Mhm.
and the board has basically said, look, if you can find a hardship, then we can go ahead and grant you the appeal. But other than that, the reason why those documents are put in place is to preserve the value of everybody's property.
Yeah.
So if your neighbor has to do it, then you got to do it.
Got it. Perfect. Is there any other questions out there?
Somebody says, can you guys speak about CDDs? That's something else.
Yes.
You know what? That's a good question because I was confused. They told me, hey, HOA, CDDs, and then deed restricted, and I'm like, aren't all the same? So what's the difference between HOA, CDD, and deed restricted?
Okay. So CDD is a community development district, and basically those are funds that are allocated to the road development, to basically setting up the sewer system, the electrical systems,
Okay.
all that doesn't have anything to do with the association.
So that's probably more like a developer expense, correct?
Well, it's a developer expense that's a pass-through. So that gets passed through to the homeowner. For example, a good example of that is West Chase.
Okay.
West Chase had a CDD at one point. They span over 20 or 30 years, and then after that, they're pretty much done.
Got it.
What the developer has done is he's basically gone out and gotten a bond for that money to be able to develop the property, and then he tells the bondholder, hey, I'm going to collect over the course of 30 years
This much.
$20 a month or $30 a month, but it's going to pay you back
Plus
for that
expense, plus
plus
interest,
interest plus whatever.
Okay.
And so what that does is it's an additional amount that you have to pay.
Okay.
And it's typically done in areas that don't have the infrastructure set in place.
Like new
Developments, your Wesley Chapels, your, you know, if you're from other cities or other states, you might have them in the most newer development.
Yeah, like a suburb,
Right.
stuff like that. Got it. So you can have, if I understand, you can have an HOA monthly due and the CDD expenses. Now, are both managed by? I know there's an and.
There's an and there.
But are both managed by the HOA, or normally CDD goes straight to the developer or something like that?
That's a good question. So I've seen situations where you have an HOA, you have a master association which takes care of all of the amenities for that master community.
Okay.
For example, there's communities down in Fort Myers that have an ice cream parlor, that have a movie theater, that have a community pool, that have a restaurant.
I'm gonna go back to the first one.
Yeah.
Ice cream parlor?
They have a beach. Yeah.
Oh, there's one in Wesley Chapel, north of Tampa, that has that big, the big lagoon.
Yep.
You have to go. Woo.
So
Super clear.
So I've seen situations where you have an HOA, a master, and the CDD, and you're paying small incremental amounts into each one. Damn. You got to watch out and make sure that you're not buying into a property that has.
So again, besides the HOA, I have to find out now. I also have to find out if there's any dues on this CDD, right?
Right.
Okay. So I have to find out on all these things if there's balance dues that I may have to pay.
Right.
Okay. Now you said there's another end, which is what, deed restrictions?
No, it was the master association.
Oh, I'm like, there's 4 ends. Okay, in terms of expenses, there's those 3: HOA, CDD, master.
Right.
Okay. Now, what are then a district restricted community? What that means?
So deed restrictions are the restrictions that are placed on the actual community, which are the documents.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's why when you drive into a community and it says deed restrictions,
Yeah.
those are the covenants and the restrictions that are placed on that community.
So those are basically under the HOA then.
Right.
Okay. So those rules that we're talking about, that's deed restricted. Now I've heard that some communities, it's not deed restricted anymore. So what that means?
What that means is that at some point during the process of the association being in existence, it dissolved. So all the homeowners got together and they said, we don't want an HOA anymore.
Okay.
Right. We'll maintain our own properties and we will preserve the properties themselves. So for example, there are some communities on Fletcher and Rome that have those. They're voluntary HOAs. So you can actually volunteer to be part of the HOA or you don't have to be.
Why would you volunteer to be part of the HOA?
Because it comes with the amenities that are provided for that, for that community.
Okay, so the ones that pay the HOA can use the gym, for example.
Right.
The ones that don't, then they don't.
Most communities are not voluntary; they are mandatory.
Mandatory. It makes sense because if 3 guys out of the 100
Right.
decide to go to HOA, you still have the expenses to keep up with it that are not.
Exactly.
Okay, so the 4 tips: read your documents.
Yes.
Safe harbor. Check your balance dues.
Violations.
Number 3, violations.
Mhm.
The guy walking the street, and then number 4.
I forgot number 4.
Number 4, check the phone.
I gotta check the phone.
We got
Read the budget.
Read the budget. The most important one.
Yeah.
The most important. By the way, they are CPAs.
We kind of went off to CDDs and sorry, I thought it was CDDs and I was like, wait.
Let me tell you, they are CPAs that are specific, that are experts on real estate / HOAs. We have one that he specializes in that. He creates budgets for HOAs, all that kind of stuff. If you have one, that's the guy that you say, hey, even if you think take those financials and give it to him and say, hey, for whatever. Again, it's $100,000s of thousands of dollars investment.
Yes.
Spend the $200, $300, $400, $500 on that CPA so he can read you those things. Because again, the example that I gave you was you went from 5 to 7. Sometimes I'm sure it's even more.
Could be.
If you suddenly have to replace the roof and you didn't have enough, and the roof is $20,000, $30,000 because it's an apartment complex, guess what? It's not going to go up $200. It's going to go up $400 or $500. Right? Is there any limit on how much it increase?
There isn't, but the board has to abide by,
Back to the documents.
well, they have to abide by the documents, but they also have to abide by a certain estimate for that repair.
Okay.
So, for example, they can't just arbitrarily give a number like $100,000. They have to have estimates, and they have to agree on those estimates at a duly noted board meeting.
Okay. Now, if I know, for example, that in 5 years I have to replace the roof, can I, instead of charging everything that year, can I say, hey guys, in 5 years, we had to replace the roof. Let's start charging now, so it's kind of a, incremental increase versus boom, getting $100,000 that year.
Yeah, so sometimes boards are also members also. So if they're special assessing themselves.
Yeah, they're going to be affected.
Right.
Yeah.
So what you see a lot of times is if it's a major project where several $1,000s have to be in place, what you'll see is the boards vote on a payment plan, and they'll say, okay, for the next 6 months we'll do $1,000 a homeowner, or $500 a homeowner for the next 12 months.
Okay.
So it's not like right away
that
they'll hit you with the entire
that makes
bill.
sense. That makes a lot of sense. Jorge, is there any questions out there in terms of any questions out there? No.
Let me see. There's a question about. Okay, so what happens if the HOA says that I have too many cars in my property, but I need the cars because it's one for my son, my daughter? Can they appeal that with a lawyer?
That happens to me, bro. I have 5 at home. Yeah, because my sons are all, one college here, one college there, so we have 5 and a 2-car garage. So 3 has to sleep outside. What can happen in that case? Let's say that the rules, because I know now, I read the rules, but what can I do?
You have to read the rules. The thing is that your association will be totally different than somebody else's.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, it boils down to what do the rules say?
Okay.
Do they say, I'll give you a good example. There are some associations that do not allow vehicles that are for commercial use.
Yes.
So if you're a roofer, if you're an AC guy and you bring a commercial vehicle home, you're not going to be able to do that. Now, there are ways around that, because you can either tarp the vehicle or you can put it in the garage, as long as it's not visible.
I have a roofer actually in my community, and he has like a magnet tarp that he puts over the door. Right. So on both doors he has whatever Leo roofer sign.
Right.
And when he comes home, boom, he puts that magnet. So you walk in, you see the tarp, but you go like, I don't see what it is.
Yep.
So that makes sense. Now, for example, in my case, they allow us to put the 3 cars, but we cannot park outside on the street overnight.
Right.
So because at the beginning it's like they gave me a little
love letter. Yeah, love letter.
And I'm like, why? What I'm going to do? So when I read, hey, you cannot park, overnight, on the street. So what I do now is literally, I put, you see 3 cars. The last one is like right there at the curb.
Right.
And they're like, okay, it's not on the street.
It's not on the street. Right.
So we're good. We're legal. I can't imagine someone having more than 5, 6 cars. What they will do. They'll have to park somewhere and kind of shuttle back and forth. But yeah, I read the rules and I'm like, okay, why am I getting the violations? And when I read it, it said it very clearly.
Yep.
You can park as many cars as long as they're not in the street.
So another way around that, if you are a homeowner, I know we divest with investors, but if you're a homeowner, just create a circular driveway and add additional parking, to the area so that you don't park on the grass.
God, this thing is.
There's plenty of ways to skin the cat, buddy.
Now.
I have another question.
Oh, another question.
So what happens if I'm closing on the property and then something is due after the closing to the HOA that was not discovered by the title company?
So the title company made this search, asked for this double, and still the stuff.
Because maybe there was an assessment or something happening.
Oh, okay.
During that process?
Yes.
So the homeowner or the previous person that owned the property would be responsible all the way up to closing. You would be responsible for anything after that.
Okay.
So if, for example, there were 6 payments that were outlined in the assessment, and there was 3, to the homeowner, and then 3 to you, then you would be responsible to those 3 because you closed right in the middle of that. Now, what I do recommend is read over the estoppel, to make sure that you don't have any of these things come up. A lot of times, some title companies that are good will go ahead and collect that money ahead of time at your closing, so that they can go ahead and turn around and have that prepaid, so you don't have to worry about it, coming into the door.
Now you use there a Sunday word, so I'm going to call timeout Sunday word.
Time.
And estoppel.
Yes.
Can you Wikipedia estoppel in your mind and tell me what the heck is estoppel?
Yes.
Because estoppel, I was like, I'm going to stop. Mira. Allí.
And
Stop.
Rafi, you got it right there. You hit it right on the head.
That's what it is?
An estoppel basically says that from this day forward, this is what you're responsible for, previous owner,
Okay.
and this is what you're responsible for, new owner.
Okay.
So an estoppel letter basically says that from this day forward, which is typically closing, this is, well, it's not typically, it is closing. This is what you're responsible for, and this is what you're responsible for.
Got it. So it stops el pago.
Right.
To
To taxes, insurance, to HOA payments.
Got it.
It informs everybody that this is the cutoff date.
Stop el pago que me están enviando.
Exactly.
Got it. Excellent. But you know what? It's Leo. You think we got 4, but
We got a
bonus alert! Bonus alert! We have a 5th tip. It better be good.
It is.
I did the whole thing with the sirens, whatever. Guys, it's good.
Well, you know,
5th one.
it's very necessary.
Go ahead.
Tenants need to know the rules. Oh my God.
That's a good one.
You don't know how many investments we had. We had where if there's an HOA, the owner reads it, and then they rent it,
Never
and the
does
tenant
anything
doesn't
with it.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a violation for grass. Well,
Right.
You tell the tenant that you have to keep the grass.
Exactly.
Here. Okay. So I'm sure you have examples of this.
Yes.
I'm sure. Just give me one so that people, because right now there's investors running to their website to copy paste and send it to tenants. It's happening right now. I know you're doing it. Yes, they're sending it to them.
Yes.
So how do you do it? Is this something that property management company can deliver this to tenants? How do you normally make the tenants aware of these rules?
So some HOAs or some COAs are very good at informing the tenants. They'll do a tenant orientation or a new homeowner orientation.
Okay.
But some of them are not. Some of the smaller HOAs will definitely not do this for you.
Okay.
So you as an investor need to forward any HOA rules that are available out there that you are privy to the tenant. I'll give you a good example. One of the most notorious examples is running an auto body shop out of your home.
Ser un cubano, pero voy a decir nada. Running and out of.
Yep.
¿Sí o no? Era cubano. Yeah, I know.
No comment.
I know that's it.
No
So
comment.
they were running an out-of-body shop
Yes.
from their garage.
Yep.
And this is the tenant, not the owner.
Yes.
The tenant. Now,
tenant.
who's responsible for the violation? The tenant or the owner?
The owner. The association is responsible to the owner, and then the owner has a contract with the tenant. So guess what? You're gonna rack up some fees. Make sure that your tenants know what the rules of engagement are.
Oh.
If they don't know, it's very difficult for them to understand that these things are gonna start piling up.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind as you purchase these properties in an HOA or a COA. If they don't know that they can't put the trash outside of their unit and they get a violation letter, sure, they're going to get a warning, but what if the warning turns into fines? And then you have the fining committee, and then you have to go through that whole process.
Well, not only that, even if you make them aware at the beginning,
Yes.
you need to have a great property management company that inspects on a quarterly, every year basis. Because again, you gave them that, and then 2 months later, you said, you know what? Vaya chico, abro un auto body shop en mi garage, And then if you don't go there 6 months from now,
Right.
you don't know what you don't know. And then guess what? A year from now, you start seeing Lambos coming out, repaired and
Yep.
all that kind of stuff. But the same way the Lambos are coming out, the violations are coming in.
They are.
So you need to inspect that property at least twice a year, so you know, hey, and maybe you spot the violation. Hey, before I get the fees, I check that the grass is too high, or you run out of
Parking on the grass.
parking on the grass, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And you can nip it in the butt right there,
Yep.
versus waiting for the guy that walk in the neighborhood to give you that love letter. So
Yep.
definitely make sure that the tenants, I would say, as part of that agreement, to your point, if you can make the orientation, great. But if you have a small property management company, just make sure that as part of the property management, the tenant agreement is there.
Yep.
Hey, initial here, blah 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 blah, and then probably I would add, hey, if there's any violations that is your fault, you have to pay.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if that's legal. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's again, I'm not an attorney, so you
Yeah.
consult an attorney.
Y tamaño. Colita.
Colita, please. What you really want to do is you want to inform the tenant ahead of time. So what you might want to do is, as a standard of that lease, go ahead and put the tenant rules and regulations. Some HOAs are really good about having the tenant come in and sign the rules and regulations, the pool rules, all those different rules that are on the HOA. they'll come in and they'll say, look, make sure that the tenant has it signed before this lease is in place or
Okay.
before they're moved. They're
Okay.
moved in.
Okay, excellent. So let's go over the tips. Number one, read the documents.
Yep.
Number two,
Safe
safe
harbor.
harbor.
Yep.
Check the balances due if you know anything.
Violations.
Number three, violations.
Yep.
Remember the guy walking the street, that guy? Whatever. Number four, the one that we forgot, but you should never forget.
Never.
Never. Financials, budget, make
budget.
sure that they're sound.
Yep.
Share with CPA if you have one, so that boom. And then, bonus alert.
Bonus.
Bonus alert. Tenants. Make sure they know. If you're going to rent the property and you're not going to live it, they will live it.
Yes.
They're the ones making the decision in the house. Make sure they're aware of it and inspect it.
Yes.
Make sure that once in a while you go, hey, are you abiding by that? Before we go, any additional questions?
You have a lady by the name of Dalia saying que guapo es ese muchacho with the jacket.
Wow. Rafi.
La tengo, mira.
See? Ahí.
La tengo ahí.
We have a guy named Brian saying, good job, guys, great information.
Awesome. That's great. Again, Leo Florin, part. We have some questions.
Matt Nagy says awesome job as well.
Matt Nagy, hey,
Hey.
say hi to your wife. Two girls, yeah. Two girls, busy guy. He's the only guy in the house.
Wow.
Oof. Not good. So again, thank you very much for Leo.
Thank you guys
Appreciate
for
very
having
much
me.
the
Thank you.
knowledge. If you have any questions regarding HOAs, commercial real estate, now Greystone, we have an asset like Leo that can really make sure that you're doing the right thing. And remember, you have to do this before you get into a property.
Yes.
Don't come here saying, hey Leo,
Hey, about the property.
About the property, what has an HOA? What's an HOA? No, you should know because you watch this video. Now remember, if you want to contact us, you can go online for homesforincome.com. That's noms, the number 4, income.com.
Cuatro.
Twitter, Instagram. What Instagram?
Yep.
Yes.
Instagram. LinkedIn.
Yep.
YouTube. The Facebook, YouTube channel.
Click and like to subscribe.
Like, subscribe, and then
Uh-huh.
la campanita.
La campanita.
Are we like Pinterest?
Yes, we have.
We're in Pinterest?
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
So
Wow.
you can do like one of those nice boards and have Greystone there as one of the life goals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're even in MySpace, but we decided
Yeah, we decided to.
it's there. If you go to myspace.com, first you're gonna get a virus probably.
Yeah.
And then two, you can find us there. Hey, MySpace was it.
It was.
I got my playlist. I probably still got my MySpace playlist. Remember that?
I have my profile picture from 20 years ago.
There you go. So again, Leo, thank you very much for today.
Thank you for having
Remember,
me.
homesforIncome.com, homes the number 4, income.com. We don't try to stay back again. We kind of lost the groove on doing this. We're going to try to start, doing them on a weekly basis. Normally, Stephanie's back there producing, but today
we got George. And it's great. It was good.
it was not as good, Stephanie.
Uh,
Not as good, Stephanie, bro.
Guys, I'm here.
You're here?
He moved.
I'm
she
here.
moved things, and she did
Still
things
here?
that he wouldn't do.
Got it.
I was like, "Can you move that?" And he
Yeah.
said, "No, I don't know how to do it."
No.
And I'm like, "Well, whatever." We'll see you next time. And remember, with Greystone, you invest, we do the rest. See you later.
See you later, guys.
Peace. Oh,
Peace.
peace with 4.
With 4.